What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we will be covering our fourth Power 5 conference today with the Big 12, going over one player to watch from each school. And like I said in the Big 10 video, I think the Big 12, along with the Big 10, are the strongest two conferences in college basketball this season. There's a lot of depth from each school. So, yeah, definitely some exciting players to watch in this conference. So, without further ado, let's hop right into it. First up for the Arizona Wildcats, one of the few freshmen on this list in all of the Power 5 schools, Caleb Holt, a very highly ranked recruit coming out of high school. He was number 3 on ESPN's Top 100 and just a really talented freshman, listed at 6'5", 215. He was great on the USA U19 team. He averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and almost 3 steals per game in only 16 minutes per game. He can do a little bit of everything. He's got great size. He can score at all 3 levels. He's got good, physical strength. He's a good athlete. He's a solid shooter. Just a really well-rounded, all-around player. And I think Arizona is going to be one of the top schools in the country once again this season, having made it to the Final Four last season. They are returning some solid key guys from last season, like Mo Krivas and Ivan Kurchenkov. They're also getting some good transfers, like Derek Dixon from UNC and JJ Mandaquit from Washington. They're also getting a handful of international recruits and another top 100 recruit in Cameron Holmes to go along with Caleb Holt. But I do think that Caleb Holt is not only going to be one of the top freshmen in the country, but just one of the top players overall. I think he will definitely be a top 10 pick at the minimum when it's all set and done after his freshman season. And I'm really excited to see what he can do at the collegiate level here in his freshman season for the Wildcats. Next up for Arizona State, one of the most talented players in the transfer portal, Paulius Maraskis, coming over from St. Mary's, following head coach Randy Bennett here to Arizona State. Last season, in his junior year, Paulius averaged 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, shooting 48% from the field, 33% from 3, and 84% from the line. He's a really talented inside-out scorer. He's got the good size at like 6'8", 225. He can do a little bit of everything out there on both ends of the floor. And definitely going to be one of the best players in the conference this season. Obviously, with the new head coach, there's a lot of, changing pieces from last year. The only real key player the Sun Devils are returning is Brace Ford, but a lot of incoming transfers to go along with Maraskis, like Joel Foxwell from Portland, Ben Defty from Boston, Dylan Shaw from St. Mary's, Jonathan Greiman from Cal Baptist, Emmanuel Innocenti from Gonzaga, to go along with a couple of international recruits. So yeah, definitely a lot of moving pieces that head coach Randy Bennett is going to have to put together. But I definitely think Paulius Maraskis is going to be at the center of all of that. I'm excited to see what he can do in his senior season and his first season at the Big 12. I think that he has a chance to be like a second round draft pick in this year's NBA class, with how college basketball is working. A lot of people are going back to school more. We kind of saw that last year where the whole second round was basically either international or senior players. So I definitely think he has a chance to be a second round draft pick. He's a really talented player. So excited to see what he can do for the Sun Devils this year. Next up for the Baylor Bears, I'm excited to see Penn State transfer Caden Mingo. Last year in his freshman season, Mingo averaged 14 points, 3.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals per game. Shot 48% from the field, only 24% from 3, but 71% from the line. Definitely going to need to be a little bit more consistent, more efficient with his outside shot. But I think he's going to be a really good player for the Bears this season. To go along with Caden Mingo, his incoming freshman brother Dylan Mingo will be joining him in the backcourt as well for Baylor. Dylan is ranked number 11 in the ESPN's Top 100 recruits, so definitely going to be a really fun backcourt to see both of those guys play together, as well as 4-star recruit Elijah Williams, who's ranked number 35 in ESPN's Top 100. And under head coach Scott Drew, they are returning a handful of players from last season, like Isaac Williams and Jocelyn Bodo, along with Andre Iguodala II, who was a redshirt last season, to go along with some pretty key transfer players like Brett Decker Jr. from Liberty, Isaac Seliskar from Yale, and Evan Chapman from UAB to go along with the Mingo brothers. I think Caden and Dylan are both really talented players, and I liked what I saw from Caden last season at Penn State. I think he's got a good ability to score at all three levels. Like I mentioned, that 3 point shot is definitely going to have to develop and be more consistent, but he plays really hard on both ends of the court. He's really active on defense. Like I kind of mentioned, getting over 2 steals per game. So I think he's going to be a really good guard for Scott Drew and Baylor this season. Next up for the BYU Cougars, I'm excited to see Syracuse transfer Tyler Betsy. This will be Betsy's third school in 3 years. He actually started out in the Big 12 his freshman season at Cincinnati, then was at Syracuse for his sophomore year, and now is going to BYU. Last season for the Orange, Betsy averaged 7 points, 3 rebounds per game, only playing 18 minutes per game, but he was a really good outside shooter for the Orange. He shot 40% from the field and 41% from 3 on 4 attempts per game, only 64% from the line, but he was a really good floor spacer for BYU, and I definitely think that's what head coach Kevin Young is looking for some of these guys, especially guys like Richie Saunders, who we saw be really productive last season alongside AJ DeBonsa. So I think that Betsy can really step in right away and be a high level productive player for the Cougars. The Cougars are returning Robert Wright from last season, who was scoring 18 points per game. So definitely going to be one of the centerpieces of the offense, as well as incoming transfers Colin Chandler from Kentucky and Jake Wallen from Clemson. They're also getting some key international transfers and number 7 ranked recruit Bruce Branch III, who I'm also very excited to watch as well. But I do think that Tyler Betsy has the chance to maybe be one of the more underrated players in the Big 12 this season. I liked what he could do for the Orange last season in a smaller role, and I think that he could be a really effective player for BYU, and I think he fits Coach Kevin Young's play style really well. Next up for the Cincinnati Bearcats, I'm excited to see Wake Forest transfer Miles Colvin. He spent the first 2 seasons of his college career at Purdue and then last season at Wake Forest, where he had a bit of a larger role and really got to showcase more of his game. Last season, he averaged 12 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.5 assists per game, while also averaging over a steal per game. He shot 40% from the field, 36% from 3 on almost 5 attempts per game, and 87% from the line. He's a pretty good scorer from all 3 levels of the floor. He's a solid defender. He's got good switchability and versatility, being able to guard multiple positions on the floor. And I think that, he can come in for Cincinnati and be one of the more impact players on their roster. With new head coach Gerard Calhoun this season, they have a completely new roster with, I don't think, a single returning player from last season. And their transfer class is, pretty solid. They're getting Tyler Tejada from Towson, Tylen Riley from Tulsa, Riley Allenspach from George Mason, Trevion Carson from North Dakota State, Akai Fleming from Georgia Tech, Eric Mahaffey from Akron, Jaden Hastings from Boston College, to just name a few of the guys to go along Miles Colvin. But I do think that Miles has the chance to be one of the top scorers on this team. I really liked what I saw from him at Purdue and then from Wake Forest in a more expanded role this past season. And I think he can continue to build on what he did for Wake Forest and continue to translate that over to Cincinnati and the Big 12. Next up for the Colorado Buffaloes, I'm really excited to see Justin Neely out of UNC Greensboro, one of the best rebounders in college basketball last season. For UNC Greensboro last year, he averaged 18 points, 11.5 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a steal per game. He shot 54% from the field, 31% from 3, and 78% from the line on almost 8 attempts per game. So yeah, very physical player, despite being a little bit undersized as more of like a forward. Attack the basket really hard, is able to fight through contact and finish, through multiple defenders. And I think he's going to add just a great element of physicality and energy for Colorado this season. They are returning a couple of key pieces, mainly Barrington Hargress from last season alongside Jalen Holland and Josiah Sanders. But I definitely think Justin Neely can come in and be one of the more productive players on this team. I don't know how good Colorado is going to be in the Big 12 this year, as it is, a stacked conference. But I do think that Justin Neely can be a really impact player for the Buffaloes this season. They're also bringing in Noah Federson from North Dakota State and David Gomez from Charlotte to go along with a couple of international players and some incoming freshmen. But yeah, once again, I definitely think that Justin Neely is probably, going to be the best player on this team, and I do expect him to have a really productive season for the Buffaloes. Next up for the Houston Cougars, I'm excited to see LSU transfer Dedon Thomas Jr. Coming over for his senior season for head coach Kelvin Sampson. Last season for LSU, he played in 16 games, averaged 15 points, about 3 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game. He shot 46% from the field, 30% from three, and 83% from line. So just a really great floor general, and he's able to score the ball if he has to. I think, after losing, basically their entire starting unit from last year with Kingston Flemings, Emmanuel Sharp, and Milos Uzan alongside Chris Sinak Jr., they're definitely going to need a lot of production from the backcourt, and I think Dedon Thomas Jr. can really fill that gap. The Cougars are returning some of their rotational players like Joseph Tugler, Mercy Miller, and Chase McCarty. And they're also bringing in key transfers like Corey Hadnot from Purdue Fort Wayne, Delreco Gillespie from Kent State, and Braden East from Lamar. They're also bringing in 2 top 100 recruits like Arifan Diane and Ikenna Olozi. So I definitely think that, head coach Kelvin Sampson is going to have a really competitive roster again in the Big 12. I don't know if it's, his strongest roster that he's ever had, but Coach Sampson always gets the most out of his team. They're going to play hard and they're going to play with a lot of energy on both ends of the floor. So I definitely think that Thomas is going to be in line to probably be the starting point guard, and I think he could be highly successful for the Cougars this season. Next up for Iowa State, I'm excited to see Northern Iowa transfer Leon Bond III. Last season for Northern Iowa, he averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.7 blocks per game. He shot 47% from the field, 36% from three, and 75% from line. He's a really, solid two-way player for, Northern Iowa last season. He was on the all-defensive team last year, and I definitely think he fits Iowa State's play style really well. I think he's going to be able to fit right in and kind of just fill in a number of different roles. He's not going to be, the number one scoring option, but he's going to be able to knock down his perimeter shots. He can be a good slasher and finisher at the rim if he has to, and he can also defend at a high level. He can, pick up the team's best perimeter scorer, and I think that's going to be super valuable for the Cyclones this season. They are returning a couple of key guys like Killian Torre, Blake Buchanan, and Jamarian Bateman from last season, while they did lose Milan Mocilovic to the transfer portal and Joshua Jefferson and Taman Lipsey to the NBA draft. So there's definitely going to be some production that they're going to have to fill the gaps with there. They're also bringing in some key transfers like Jaquan Johnson from Bradley, Ryan Prather Jr. from Robert Morris, Trey Singleton from Northwestern, and Taj Manning from Kansas State. So I think that Iowa State is definitely going to be one of the better teams in the conference once again this season. And I think Leon Bond III could really have a breakout season for the Cyclones this year. Next up for the Kansas Jayhawks, another incoming freshman. Right now, I would have him as my number one pick in the 2027 NBA draft, Tyron Stokes. Ranked number 1 on ESPN's Top 100, and I think he's an incredible prospect and definitely worthy of the number 1 recruit status. In high school, he averaged 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He's listed at 6'7", 230 pounds. He's, a very physical player. He can get downhill with ease, but he can also, shoot the ball pretty well. He can rebound effectively. He can facilitate. He made the game look pretty easy at the high school level, so definitely interested to see how he looks against, tougher competition, more physicality at the college level. For the Team USA U19 team, he averaged 10 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists in only 15 minutes per game, and looked pretty smooth for the U19 team. The Jayhawks are bringing in pretty much a whole new roster from last season, obviously losing Darren Peterson from last year alongside Trey White, Flory Badunga, and Melvin Council Jr. They are bringing in Dennis Parker Jr. from Radford, Leroy Blyden Jr. from Toledo, Keanu Dawes from Utah, and Christian Reeves from Charleston, alongside a lot of talented incoming freshmen, alongside Stokes like Talon Kinney, Davion Adkins, and Trent Perry. So definitely going to be another talented roster for Bill Self and the Jayhawks, and I think that Tyron Stokes hopefully will have, maybe a better and more consistent season than Darren Peterson had last year, as he was a little bit inconsistent, didn't really, probably play to his play style well enough. We'll see if Stokes is able to do that and, maybe claim and run away with the number one pick status for the 2027 NBA draft. Next up for Kansas State, I'm excited to see Virginia Tech transfer Jaden Schutt. Last season for the Hokies, he averaged 8 points, about 2 rebounds, 1 assist per game, shot 38% from the field and 39% from three, as well as 86% from line. He's primarily a 3-point shooter. He had 6 field goal attempts per game, and over 5 of them were 3-pointers. So you know what he's going to do. He's going to be able to space the floor, be able to move without the ball effectively, and find openings in the defense. And I definitely think that Kansas State could use some more 3-point shooting, as pretty much a whole new roster for them this season, with head coach Casey Alexander at the helm this year. They are returning one player from last season in Andrej Kostic, and then bringing in a ton of transfers like Brandon Rechsteiner from Colorado State, Montana Wheeler from Bradley, JT Rock from New Mexico, Desdrick Lindsey from Oregon, Isaiah Abraham from Georgetown, and Pape Ndaya from Xavier. But I definitely think that Jaden Schutt has a chance to have a little bit of a larger role for Kansas State. He was, more of a bench player for Virginia Tech this season. And he was really effective as a floor spacer, and, solid contributor on both ends of the floor. And I definitely think that he could maybe have a potential breakout season for the Wildcats this year. Next up for Oklahoma State, I'm excited to see North Carolina transfer Luka Bogovitz, as a, junior this past season, his first season in college basketball. He averaged 10 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. He shot 40% from the field, 35% from three, and 74% from line. Luka is able to do a little bit of everything for the Tar Heels this past season. He's got good size at 6'6", 215. He's able to kind of get in the lane, finish through contact, but also can space the floor, knock down his open shots, as well as facilitate for others. The Cowboys are returning a couple of key players as well to go alongside Luka, like Kanye Clary and Benjamin Ahmed from last season. They are also bringing in transfers Jordan Burks from UCF, Jacob Walker from Sam Houston, and a couple, actually 3 top 100 recruits in Latrell Allman, Anthony Felici, and Jalen Montanaghi. So head coach Steve Lutz definitely has a ton of, talented players on their roster, and hopefully Oklahoma State can be, a little bit better than they have been these past couple seasons. After Cade Cunningham, they haven't really been too competitive for the most part. So I definitely think that they have a chance to, hopefully get back in the mix in the Big 12 this season. And I think that Luka could be a key player for them. He's a really smart, sound player. He's got a ton of international experience, coming over originally from, Montenegro. And yeah, I liked what I saw last season at UNC, and I think that he could be a good addition to Oklahoma State this year. Next up for TCU, one of the best and most underrated freshmen in the country last season, Gavin Sykes from Long Beach State. I'm super excited to see him play at the Big 12 level. He was unbelievable as a freshman. He averaged 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists. He shot 47% from the field, almost 39% from 3 on 6 attempts per game, and 80% from the line. He was a really good player last season for Long Beach State, and really incredible for a freshman. He was the Big West Rookie of the Year. He made the All Big West team. Super talented coming over for head coach Jamie Dixon, and I think he's going to be an impactful player right away for the Horned Frogs. The Horned Frogs are returning a decent amount of production from last season, like Xavier Edmonds, Micah Robinson, Brock Harding, and Tanner Toolson. They're also getting DJ Thomas from West Virginia and Luke Bamboyi from Texas Tech. So I think that, head coach Jamie Dixon can try to look to build on a, tournament berth and a tournament win from last season. And hopefully they're able to, keep being a, productive team on both ends of the floor, hopefully be, towards the top half of the Big 12 and maybe make another tournament run this year. I definitely think that Gavin Sykes has a chance to be like the leading scorer and the best player on this team. I think for him, being able to develop more as a playmaker and facilitator is going to be the next step for him. So I'm excited to see what he can do in his first year in the Big 12 and for TCU. Next up for Texas Tech, I'm excited to see Hofstra transfer Cruz Davis. Last season for Hofstra, Davis averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and over a steal per game. He shot 44% from the field, 40% from 3 on 6 attempts per game, and 83% from the line. Cruz did a little bit of everything for Hofstra last season. He played in 35 games. He played in 38 minutes per game, was the main offensive engine. Pretty much just led the entire offense. So going to be interesting to see how he can adjust to playing, at Texas Tech, probably, having a little bit of a less of a role, obviously. So definitely excited to see how he adjusts to that. Obviously, the Red Raiders are getting back JT Toppin from last season, who's probably one of the, player of the year candidates, I would say, at least for the Big 12 and maybe even the national player of the year. They're also getting back Josiah Mosley from last season and getting incoming transfers Trey Gibbs Lawhorn from UNLV and Demarion Dennis from Wyoming, along with number 26 incoming freshman Dakari Spear. So I definitely think that Texas Tech is going to be, towards the top of the conference again. Hopefully, JT Topham can stay healthy. But I definitely think the additions of Cruz Davis and Gibbs Lawhorn to the backcourt, are going to be really helpful for the Red Raiders. There's going to be a lot of creation and scoring available in the backcourt to kind of work with the front court production from JT Topham. So I think it's a nice mix that the Red Raiders have for this season. Next up for UCF, a player who was actually on their team in 24-25, that is Dior Johnson. He played last season at Tarleton State in the WAC conference, played in 20 games, 26 minutes per game, but was an incredibly efficient scorer, averaged 24 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, over a steal per game, shot 52% from the field, 54% from 3, and 85% from the line on over 9 attempts per game, which was absolutely ridiculous in only 26 minutes per game. His per 40 numbers would have been 36.5 points on 14 free throw attempts per game, which was just absolutely ridiculous stuff. Obviously, playing in the Big 12 going to be a lot more challenging to score, and he didn't have as big of a role when he was at UCF 2 seasons ago. He only played in 8.5 minutes per game, only averaged 3 points per game. So definitely hoping that he's able to find a bigger role this season and this time around for head coach Johnny Dawkins and the Knights. A couple of guys are expected to return for the Knights, like John Bull, Carmelo Pacheco, Arturo Dean, who didn't play last season but has been with them. He averaged 8 points per game at Oklahoma State in 24-25. And then a handful of transfers to go alongside Dior Johnson, like Lewis Walker from North Carolina A&T, Isaiah Malone from Florida Gulf Coast, Keaton Vasco from Wofford, and Mr. Dean from Charleston. So hopefully, I'm hoping that Dior Johnson can have a really productive season this time around for UCF. He's an incredible scorer, really talented player, and yeah, excited to see what he can do in his second stint under head coach Johnny Dawkins. Next up for the Utah Utes, I'm excited to see Ohio State transfer Tayson Chapman for his last season at Ohio State. He averaged 4 points per game, 1 rebound, and 1 assist per game, only playing in 13 minutes per game. But he shot 46% from the field, 47% from 3, and 85% from the line. That's definitely what Chapman's going to bring. He's going to be able to space the floor really effectively. He's a really smart player. He knows, again, how to move without the ball, how to find openings, and how to, just be available for others. And I definitely think that's going to be super helpful for the Utes this season. A lot of change from last season for Utah. They're bringing in transfers: Jackson Holcomb from Utah Valley, TJ Birch from Wright State, Malik Goma from Weber State, and a couple JUCO transfers, a couple international guys, some incoming freshmen. So definitely going to be, interesting to see who kind of takes over the offense production. I definitely think that Chapman has the chance to find a much larger role for Utah this season and kind of have a little bit of a breakout season. Hopefully, be, more consistent playing time, be able to, score hopefully close to, if not over, double-digit points per game. I really like what I saw from him at the Buckeyes last season. He's also a pretty solid defender. He's active in the passing lanes. He's got good size and quickness to guard, multiple guys in the backcourt. And he's able to create his own shot off the bounce a little bit. So hopefully he can able to show more of that this season for Utah. Next up for West Virginia, I'm excited to see Butler transfer Finley Bizjack, who spent the last 3 seasons at Butler. Really exciting and fun player to watch. So excited to see what he can do in the Big 12 for the Mountaineers this season. Last season, he averaged 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game, shot 43% from the field, 35% from three, and 85% from the line on over 5 attempts per game. He's an effective 3-level scorer. He's, a really good ball handler. He's quick off the bounce. I think he definitely has the chance to develop more as a playmaker and facilitator, get others involved. But as of right now, he's a really effective scorer. He can, like I said, score at all 3 levels really effectively. And he's got a really quick first step to, get to the basket and finish through contact as well. The Mountaineers have a lot of change, like many other schools. They're bringing in Muhammad Sila from Georgia Tech, Seydou Traore from Utah, Martin Somerville from Florida State, and Josan Seinan from St. John's, as well as 2 top 100 freshmen in Miles Sadler and Amadou Saini, I believe is how you pronounce that. But yeah, I think Finley is definitely going to be the top scorer on this West Virginia team. I think he's going to be able to lead this offense and hopefully get the Mountaineers back into some sort of contention in the Big 12, maybe even the NCAA tournament. So excited to see what Bizjack can do this season for the Mountaineers. So with that being said, that is going to be it for me today, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if your favorite school, if I got, your player right, or if there's someone else who I maybe didn't mention as much as do you think they're going to have a breakout season? Let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did like this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.